The Harmattan wind in Lagos does not respect anyone. It blows the same brown dust into the mansions of Banana Island as it does into the zinc shacks of Ajegunle. But on this Christmas Eve, the wind felt colder to Adanna. The city was vibrating. Usually, Lagos is a chaotic symphony of car horns, shouting conductors, and Afrobeats blasting from speakers. But today, the frenzy had a desperate edge. People were rushing to buy the last live chickens, the last bags of rice, the last hampers. Everyone was preparing to celebrate. Everyone except Adanna. In her pocket, she had exactly 1,500 naira. That was all she had to her name. No bank account, no hidden stash, just 3 crumpled notes. Inside her dimly lit one-room shack, her daughter Nkechi lay on a mat, her breathing shallow, her chest rising and falling with a terrifying rattle. They say Christmas is a time of miracles, but as Adanna looked at the cracked walls of her room and the empty pot on her kerosene stove, she didn't want a miracle. She just wanted justice. She didn't know that tonight, justice would come knocking, not in a police uniform, but in rags that smelled of the refuse dump. Before you begin reading, share this story with 5 friends and subscribe to our page for more heartwarming tales. Grab your popcorn, settle down, and don't skip a line. The ending will shock you. To understand why Adanna was sitting on a dirt floor, weeping quietly on Christmas Eve, you have to understand the height from which she fell. 5 years ago, Adanna was Madam Adanna. She lived in a duplex in Lekki Phase 1. Her husband, Obinna, was a kind man, a major importer of electronics at the Alaba International Market. They had cars, drivers, and plans for Nkechi to study in Canada. Obinna was the type of man who helped everyone. He paid school fees for his nephews, built houses for his kinsmen in the village, and set up his younger brother Emeka in the oil and gas business. Family is everything, Adanna, Obinna would say, lifting a glass of wine during Sunday lunch. Emeka is my blood. If anything happens to me, he will cover you. Obinna was wrong. Dead wrong. The day Obinna died of a sudden cardiac arrest, the vultures didn't even wait for his body to get cold in the mortuary. Chief Emeka arrived at the Lekki house 3 days after the death. He didn't come to mourn. He came with a trailer and 3 policemen. He claimed that according to their village tradition, the brother inherits the late man's responsibilities and assets to manage them for the family. But managing meant seizing. Adanna, Emeka had said, picking his teeth with a toothpick as his boys carried out your television. You are a woman. You don't know business. The stress will kill you. I am taking over the accounts and the properties. I will send you a monthly allowance. He threw her out of the house 2 weeks later, claiming the property documents were actually in his name, a lie supported by forged documents and a corrupt lawyer. The monthly allowance never came. The calls were blocked. The family she had fed and clothed turned their backs, calling her a witch who killed her husband to inherit his wealth. Adanna fought. She sold her jewelry for lawyers, but Emeka bought the judges. Within 2 years, she was destitute. Within 3, she was living in the slums. Now, on the 5th Christmas since Obinna's death, the cycle was complete. She was a nobody. But Adanna had one secret weapon left, her dignity. Even in the slum, she kept her clothes clean and her head high. She refused to beg. Until tonight.
Mama Nkechi, your daughter needs that surgery. The local chemist, Mr. Okoro, had told her that morning. The drugs I am giving you are just managing the pain. Her heart is weak. She might not cross into the new year. The words echoed in Adanna's head as she walked through the chaotic Mile 12 market. The dust coated her eyelashes. She clutched her 1,500 naira. It was a terrible choice. The medicine cost 1,200 naira. Food for a Christmas meal, just a little rice, some pepper and frozen fish would cost 1,400 naira. If she bought the medicine, Nkechi would survive the night but wake up on Christmas morning to hunger and misery, watching the neighbors eat jollof rice while she drank water. If she bought the food, Nkechi would have one moment of joy, a taste of the life they used to have, but her heart might fail. Adanna looked at the colorful stalls. She saw a woman buying a live turkey, arguing loudly about the price. She saw children running with fireworks. "She's going to die anyway," a dark voice whispered in Adanna's mind. "The doctor said she needs millions for the operation. You don't have it. Why prolong the suffering? Give her a good Christmas. Let her die with the taste of chicken in her mouth, not the bitter taste of chloroquine." Tears streamed down her face, mixing with the dust. It was a moment of absolute defeat. She decided she would buy the food. She would cook the best pot of rice she could manage. They would eat, sing praises to God, and whatever happened next was in God's hands. She bought 2 cups of rice. She bought 4 pieces of frozen turkey wings, the cheapest part. She bought groundnut oil in a small nylon bag. She bought tinned tomatoes. As she turned to leave the market, clutching her black nylon bag like it contained gold, she heard a commotion near the refuse dump at the market entrance. "Thief! Madman! Go away!" A group of market boys were stoning a figure huddled by the gutter. It was a man, ragged, with a beard that looked like a bird's nest. He was trying to pick a rotten piece of yam from the floor. "Please," the man croaked. His voice was cracked, dry. "I am not a thief. I am hungry." A stone hit his shoulder. He fell. Adanna stopped. She should keep walking. She had her own tragedy waiting at home. She couldn't save anyone. But then the man looked up. His eyes met hers. They weren't the glazed eyes of a drug addict or the vacant eyes of the insane. They were sharp, intelligent, and filled with a profound sorrow that mirrored her own. "Leave him alone," Adanna screamed, surprising herself. She dropped her bag and ran forward, shielding the dirty man with her own body. "Do you not fear God? It is Christmas Eve." The boys stopped, grumbling. "Mama Nkechi, mind your business, oh. This man is a wizard." "He is a human being," she retorted. She reached into her bra and pulled out her last 100 naira, her transport fare home. She would have to trek 2 hours now. "Take this and go buy pure water. Leave him." The boys snatched the money and left. Adanna looked at the man. He smelt of urine and old sweat. "Get up," she said softly. "They will come back." "I have nowhere to go," the man whispered. Adanna looked at her bag of food. It was barely enough for her and Nkechi, but she heard Obina's voice in her head. "We rise by lifting others." "Can you walk?" "I don't have much, but I will not let you die in the gutter on Christmas Eve."
The walk home was brutal. Adanna carried her bag and the man limped beside her. People stared. A woman in a faded wrapper walking with a madman. "What is your name?" she asked after an hour of trekking. "Call me Joseph," he said. He didn't look at her. He seemed to be scanning the environment, watching the cars, watching the houses. "I am Adanna. My husband used to say that a stranger is just a friend you haven't fed yet." Joseph stopped. He looked at her with an intensity that made her shiver. "Your husband was a wise man. Where is he?" "Dead," Adanna said flatly. "And his brother took everything. That is why I live where I live." "His brother," Joseph repeated. The words rolled in his mouth like stones. "Chief Emeka." Adanna froze in the middle of the road. A keke napep swerved around them, honking. How do you know that name?" Joseph lowered his head, scratching his matted beard. "Everyone knows Chief Emeka. He is a big man. His billboards are everywhere." Adanna relaxed. Yes, Emeka was running for Senate now. His face was plastered on every street corner in Lagos. Yes, that is the devil who calls himself my family. When they arrived at the shack in Ajegunle, night had fallen. The air was thick with the smell of generators and frying onions from the neighbors. Nkechi was awake, sitting up on the mat. She looked pale, her lips slightly blue. Mama, she looked at the dirty man standing in the doorway. Who is this? This is Uncle Joseph, Adanna lied. He's a distant cousin from the village. He will eat with us. Nkechi smiled. It was a weak, fragile thing. Welcome, Uncle. We don't have chairs, but the mat is clean. Joseph stepped into the room. He didn't behave like a madman. He didn't rush. He took off his dirty slippers at the door. He sat on the edge of the mat with a surprising grace. He looked at Nkechi, and his eyes softened. You are sick, little one, he stated, not a question. My heart is tired, Nkechi said simply. But Mama is cooking jollof rice. It will make me strong. Adanna went outside to the small corridor where she kept her kerosene stove. She began to cook. The aroma of the frying onions and tinned tomatoes wafted into the room. It was the smell of Christmas. Inside, she could hear them talking. Joseph was telling Nkechi a story. He spoke impeccable English. He knew about history, about geography. Who is this man? Adanna wondered as she stirred the rice. Why does a madman sound like a professor? She felt a prickle of fear. Had she brought a ritualist into her home? Was he waiting for them to sleep? The tension is rising. Who is Joseph really? Why does he know Chief Emeka? If you are enjoying this story, hit the like button, subscribe to our page, and drop a comment. God will do it to claim your own miracle.
The food was ready. It wasn't much. A small mound of orange rice for each of them and one piece of turkey. Adanna dished the food into 3 plastic plates. She looked at her own plate. Her stomach roared with hunger. She hadn't eaten since yesterday, but she looked at the madman and her dying daughter. She took a spoon and scraped half of her rice onto Nkechi's plate and the other half onto Joseph's plate. She left only a bare bone on her own. Mama, you are not eating? Nkechi asked. I tasted it while cooking. I am full, Adanna lied. It was the oldest lie of mothers everywhere. Joseph watched her do this. He didn't touch his spoon. Why do you feed a stranger when you are starving? Joseph asked. His voice was low, dangerous. Because, Adanna said, looking him in the eye, if I lose my humanity because I am poor, then Emeka has truly won. He took my house, he took my money, but he cannot take my heart. Joseph stared at her for a long time. Then he picked up his spoon and took a bite. This tastes familiar, he murmured. Obina used to like his rice with plenty of crayfish. Adanna dropped her spoon. It clattered loudly on the floor. Who are you? She whispered. You are not a beggar. You talk about my husband as if you sat at his table. Joseph put the plate down. He reached into the pockets of his filthy rags. Adanna recoiled, thinking he was pulling out a weapon. Instead, he pulled out a phone. It wasn't a cheap torchlight phone. It was an iPhone 15 Pro Max. The screen lit up the dark room, casting eerie shadows on his dirty face. I am not a beggar, Adanna, and I am not Joseph. Before he could explain, the sound of heavy boots crunched on the gravel outside. Violent banging shook the flimsy wooden door. Open this door! Police! Nkechi screamed. Adanna grabbed her daughter. The door was kicked open. Standing there was not the police, but Chief Emeka, flanked by 2 thugs and a man in a police uniform who looked like he had drunk too much beer. Emeka was dressed in a white flowing agbada, looking like an angel of death. Merry Christmas, my dear wife, Emeka sneered. I heard you are harboring criminals here. My spies told me you picked up a madman in the market. You know I own this land, Adanna. I can't have you running a hideout for miscreants on my property. Adanna stood up, placing herself between Emeka and the others. He is just a hungry man I helped. Leave us alone, Emeka. Have you not taken enough? Emeka laughed. I have taken what is mine, and now I will take you to the station for public nuisance. As for this trash, he kicked at Joseph, who was still sitting on the mat, his head bowed. Get him out of here. Beat him if he resists. The thug stepped forward. Don't touch him, Adanna cried, grabbing a heavy pestle she used for pounding pepper. I will kill you today. Arrest her, Emeka shouted. One of the thugs lunged at Adanna. She swung the pestle, but she was weak from hunger. He caught her arm and twisted it. She screamed. Mama, Nkechi cried, trying to stand up, but collapsing back, gasping for air. Her heart was giving out. Nkechi, Adanna struggled, but the thug held her tight. Throw the madman out, Emeka commanded, checking his gold wristwatch. I have a party to attend. The second thug reached for Joseph's collar, but Joseph moved. It was a blur of motion. One moment he was sitting, the next he was standing, gripping the thug's wrist. There was a sickening crack. The thug screamed and dropped to his knees. Joseph stood up to his full height. He wasn't stooped anymore. He radiated power. He ignored the thug and looked directly at Chief Emeka. Emeka, Joseph said. His voice had changed completely. It was authoritative, polished and cold as ice. Emeka, you always were a bully, even when we were at King's College together. Emeka squinted, stepping back. Who are you? How do you know my school? Joseph reached up and pulled the matted wig off his head. He pulled off the fake beard. Underneath was a face that was clean-shaven, though dirty. He wiped the grime from his cheeks with the back of his hand. Emeka's eyes bulged. He looked like he had seen a ghost. He staggered back, hitting the door frame. Chibuke? Barrister Chibuke? But you are in London. We thought you were dead. You hoped I was dead because you knew that if I ever came back, your house of cards would fall.
Adanna stared. She recognized the name. Barrister Chibuike was Obina's lawyer and best friend. He had disappeared the week Obina died. Emeka had told everyone that Chibuike had run away with the company funds. I didn't run away, Adanna, Chibuike said, turning to her. His eyes were kind now. Emeka sent assassins after me. He wanted the original will. I had to flee to the UK. I have been in hiding for 5 years, gathering evidence, waiting for the right moment to strike. Why the disguise? Adanna asked, trembling. Because I needed to see the truth, Chibuike said, glaring at Emeka. I returned a week ago. I have been watching. I watched Emeka bribe the judges. I watched him launch his campaign with stolen money. But I also watched you, Adanna. He walked over to where the pot of rice sat. I wanted to see if hardship had changed you. I wanted to know if you are the same woman Obina loved. Tonight, you gave your last meal to a man you thought was a nobody. You passed the test, Adanna. Emeka failed his. Chibuike held up his iPhone. This phone has been recording everything since I entered the market. The assault, the confession, and he tapped the screen. The live stream to the Commissioner of Police, who is a personal friend of mine. Sirens wailed in the distance. Real sirens this time, loud and urgent. Emeka panicked. Chibuike, listen, we are brothers. We can share. I have money. I can give you half. I don't want your money, Emeka, Chibuike said calmly. I want you to rot. The police burst into the room. But these weren't the corrupt local police. These were SARS officers led by a stern-looking DPO. Chief Emeka, the DPO said, you are under arrest for fraud, forgery, and attempted murder. Emeka was dragged out, kicking and screaming, cursing the day he decided to torment his brother's widow on Christmas Eve. The room was quiet after they left. Adanna sank to the floor, shaking. Chibuike knelt beside her. I am sorry I took so long, Adanna. I am so sorry. My daughter, Adanna wept, pointing to Nkechi, who was barely conscious. It is too late. She needs surgery. We have no money. Chibuike smiled. He took Adanna's hands. Obina left a trust fund, Adanna. It was never in the general account Emeka stole. It was in an offshore trust, triggered only by me on Nkechi turning 18. It has been accumulating interest for 5 years, and it is worth over 300 million naira today. Adanna's mouth fell open. I have already called the ambulance, Chibuike said. It is on its way. She will be in the best private hospital in Victoria Island tonight. The surgery is paid for. The house in Lekki is yours. I have the original deeds. Emeka is going to prison for a long time. The ambulance lights flashed through the cracks in the wooden wall. Paramedics rushed in, lifting frail Nkechi onto a stretcher. "Mama," Nkechi whispered as they carried her out. "Did the madman eat?" Adanna laughed, tears streaming down her face. Tears of joy this time. "Yes, my daughter, he ate, and because we fed him, he gave us our life back." The sun rose over Lagos on Christmas morning. In the VIP ward, Nkechi slept peacefully, her surgery secured and their future restored. As Chibuike walked in with a hamper from Harrods, Adanna looked out at the city, realizing her small act of kindness had birthed a miracle. The nightmare was finally over. Their new life had begun. Kindness is a currency that never devaluates. The stranger you save today might just be the angel who saves you tomorrow. Wow, what a story! If this touched your heart, share this post right now and subscribe to our page for more life-changing stories. Type Amen in the comments if you believe.